Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon, time for some more development, streaming, and without further ado, let's have a look at this. This morning I added steel to the game, so let's go through the workflow that I used to do this, okay? So first thing was basically Blender to make some tubes. Okay. So if we have a look at this, we can load it up, there we go. Make the tubes, don't make them absolutely symmetrical. Get the UV out and then export it to an FBX. Okay, which we do up here by export. Okay, so these are just cylinders. Added a little bit of a bevel on the end parts, and that was that. Okay, so there's not going to be any animation or whatever, so that was basically that. Then what we do is we take it into Substance Painter, which I can show you here, give you a little demonstration of what I did. And because this is just a basic first iteration of this, we obviously didn't go mad with it. So basically all we did, new, select that, pick the tubes, open it, okay that, and there we go. So we have our tubes, and then basically what we do is we select this layer, delete it, go to texture set, bake, new, bake the mesh maps, take off ID because we don't have it, and then just let it do its thing. Okay, and once that's done, basically all we did here was excuse me, is go to Smart Materials, right, and select Steel Scratched, drag it on, and there we go. That's it. Then we save that, then we export the textures. Okay. So with that done, we've exported the textures, we've exported the model, and we can close this down. Obviously for the final version you would do a lot more with this, but for the purposes of a first iteration of this, then we drag in our model, we import our model, we import our textures, we make the material, right, which is basically, these are the textures you get from Substance Painter. So you get one which is the base color, you get a normal, and you get a occlusion, roughness, and metallic, right? Hey Sandbox, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you back. Now you can configure Substance Painter to give you out emissives and stuff like that, but for the steel we don't really need that, so all we do is the basic stuff. Then we make the material by plugging in to the right places. Then if we remember correctly, what we do is we come down here, and because it's going to be applied to a instance mesh, we click this button here so that it is applied, right? Then what I did was, it was coming in the wrong Z rotation and slightly too big. So I came in here, changed the input settings to 90 on the Z and 0.8 on the import uniform scale, and then hit the re-import base mesh with these settings, and we get our final thing, right? So then we basically went into recipes, sorry, one of the first things we did was we got a picture of steel which kind of resembles what we did, right? Then basically imported that. Then we came into recipes, and in e-items we already had steel, so that was okay. We didn't need to do anything there. But what we did have to do was update our DT items. So we updated our steel with the image, which I just showed you, and the mesh, which we just imported, okay? So you can see from there, we've got our tubes, we've got our steel, we set it to be made in a smelter, and we gave it a no, we didn't give it a process time, because that's in the recipe, but we've gave it a handcrafting time. Is placeable? No. We haven't given it restock values yet, but we can do. And the final thing was to add it to recipes, right? So if we come in here, we added this, we made it steel, gave it the picture, gave it a process time of 5, input is iron ore. We might change that later to be iron ore and carbon. That is a possibility. And we made it that you needed 10 iron ore, output steel and 1, and it's made in a smelter. Okay, so the effect on the game was this. If we continue, you will see that this is actually making steel, and we can have a look. And what we need to actually do here is hit a few L's. Okay, so if we zoom in here, and we're going to have to wait for this. It does need 10. So these are going to start getting made pretty shortly, I would think. Right, we should start seeing stuff happening anytime now, and here we go. And there is our steel. Okay. And that is how I bring something into the process. Okay. Hi there, I'm the pro guy. How you doing, mate? How are you this afternoon? So that was me bringing steel and adding it into the recipes. So basically now what we could do is add it to a research tree that, like for example, steel production would be faster. I don't know if, nah, I don't think that would be actually the case. It would just be smelter would be able to do it faster. We don't have specific at this point for products, we don't need specific research for specific items, right? But you can see there that these are traveling along. And now I'm just wondering, now they should be automatically added. As you can see here, they're going into our warehouse. And so that means that they should be available to buy and sell, except if we haven't set them that way. Right, so what we'll do is we'll stop that for now, and we'll check on our products. No, we won't. DT items, right? Is tradable. And that's set to true. And let's set a value on this of 5, or let's make it 4. These will all need rebalanced. Now, I'm not 100% sure. We have got another table on this, right? We definitely have got another table on this. So let's go into our trading table. Right, so if we go into trading, we have e-trading mode, and then we go into here, and right, where did I put this? There should be like this is a crafting one. Okay, so it's not in here, so we need to find it. At some point offline, I'm going to have to do a bit of tidying up on this. So let's have a look in the recipes again. And let's have a look at restock values. Right, so we've got Rocket buys this commodity and Rocket sells this commodity, and we haven't got it in the system yet, right? So what we want to do is add one here. So we shall change this to steel, and this will become steel. Base value 4, lower value 2. Let's say upper value, let's say 6. We'll just put in some numbers. It's not doing anything with these at the moment, but it will do. And Rocket buys this commodity, yes. Rocket sells this commodity, yes. Restock level will have 50 max, 100 current stock, let's say 25, and 100 there, right? And if we save that and press play and continue, right, and we do a few L's here so it keeps the speed up. Then we should be able to take it from there. So in theory I'll need to write this down actually for the things that I need to add. When I'm actually doing the pipeline for adding these in, right? So we've got a steel there. I think it's a bit big, but we can live with it for now. Does look pretty cool though. Right, so we need to see it going into our stock. So that's moving along quite nicely. And I can't really hurry it up, but well, actually I could do a button for hurrying this up a bit. Right, so we've got stuff going in now, and as you can see our steel is going along quite nicely. And now that we have some in our inventory, we should be able to hit 5. And apparently it's still not there. Apparently we can only buy or sell those things there. Now let's see if our controller has steel in the products available. Right, if anything, yep, so we're getting steel. But for some reason we can't sell the steel. Rocket buys, Rocket sells. So we've set those to true. Right, so we need to have a look at our trading to see why it's not actually coming up, which is going to be here. And it's not trading child, by the way, because trading child doesn't do anything, it's trading line. So we're looking at ship available space, but that's not really what we want to look at. We want to look at which ones it's actually filling in. Okay, and this isn't actually the thing that's determining it. It's actually determining in here which one it's going, what it's going to allow. Right, so we're filling the cell grid. Okay, then we're breaking this, and then we check is trading with this allowed. So we should be starting on the selling mode. So if that equals that item, the restock level and the current stock level, if the restock level is greater than the current stock level, okay. So if we stop that and check the current stock level is greater than the restock level, which it's not, or at least it shouldn't be, but all these other ones are set to 0. So what we'll do is set that to 0. Okay. Then we'll go back to here. So the rocket buys this commodity, true. The restock level is greater than our current stock level, and the item is the item, right? Then this should be true as far as, right, what we'll do is we'll add a breakpoint there, and we'll add a breakpoint there. And this is going for the temp directory, so that's fine. So we'll go back into here, right, and that should get us flowing a bit faster. So if we hit 5, right, okay, whatever. We've got bauxite, iron ore, copper ore, do. Buy iron sheet, copper sheet, and we still don't seem to have, well, we've maybe not got any steel. But certainly once we get some steel, we should be able to sell it to the ship. So we can try that once we get some, and there's a steel come out. So we're getting steel now. Okay. So once this goes in, we should be able to check this for steel and see why it's not allowing us to sell it. Right, so it goes in, and we've got our steel 1, steel 2. So now if we hit 5, right, we've got our first condition here. And we can disable this breakpoint, step over, resume, right, so this is sell, right, Right, I can resume that. And it's only allowing us to sell bauxite, iron ore and copper ore. Why that is, I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to have to put in some breakpoints and find out what the issue is regarding steel. So we'll save that for now. And in fact, we'll move that down to there. Straighten that up a bit. We'll delete that out. And we want that is trading with ship allowed, right? So this is going to be in here. So basically we are getting our ship supply so what I'll do is I'll put a breakpoint here so we can take a look at the ship supply. Okay, now remind me guys to save this while I'm at it, after we start actually making stuff, after we start making the steel and have some in supply. So we can go with this. And yeah, I think I'll switch these two buttons around, the rotating buttons. The left one should rotate to the left, the right one should rotate to the right rather than the other way around. I know inverted is sometimes the way we go with these things, but kinda never liked that inversion. Even in the flying games, never liked inverted. Right. So now we're nicely moving along. We can check our controller, which isn't going to have any steel yet. Now what we could do to speed up this, fixing this, is to actually add a default steel in our products to check, so that we can quickly check, which is probably the best idea to be honest. But I just wanted to show you that the product steel was working, and we can basically make it. You'll see it's been added now. Right. And there we go. So if we save it now, right, and we bring up our trading, okay, our problem here is the fact that so we're going to resume, and we're going to see if we can see any of these things. Right, we don't have the item. So that's true. We can resume that. So what I'm going to have to do here is we're going to have to print out. Right, so what we'll do is print string. Okay. We'll stick it here. We'll make it 20 seconds. Then we'll add an append, just so we can see what the quantity is. So if it's failing on that, okay. So the first one is going to be item colon, then this, then add a pen, then we're going to add a few spaces and then say quantity, right, and then we're going to put the item quantity here, and then this is going to go in here, then this can go in here. And if we save that and continue, we should actually now have steel in our controller. You can see, no, we didn't have steel. Of course, we're not actually saving this. Well, we're actually creating it on the fly. So basically it recreates on the fly even from a save game, but since we've got this, that's fine. So if we hit 5, we can basically take this breakpoint off, then we'll take these 2 breakpoints off, right, and then if we resume this, we'll do that, disable that. Rocket buys this, which should be true. Resume. Bauxite, copper, we have steel. So steel is definitely there. Okay. So if we stop that, it must be failing either this or this. Okay. So what we can do is we can add a temporary branch here, right? Just to test this. Then we can basically say right, so we can say equals, and then we can select steel, and if it's true, it's going to come in here. So it's going to ignore everything else, right? It's just going to come in here and say, right, are you steel? And if it's true, what I can do is I can break it, enable a breakpoint here, and then I can check to see which one it's failing. Okay. So we can press play, start that, we get our steel straight away pretty much. Okay, and then what we do is hit 5, and it's never going in there. Even though it's got steel here, it's never going in. Right? What we could do is do this and add a breakpoint here, right, and hit 5 again, and it does go in here, but unfortunately right, we don't know. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll add exactly the same thing and we'll duplicate that, right, and we'll see if this item is actually ever steel, right? So in we go. So if we hit 5, now did that just go past there? Apparently yes. Right, now is that is this never true? It's never true. So in our temp inventory we never have steel. Even though we do. Because if you remember rightly, we loop round it here. Right? Fill cell grid. Right? So when we do this, this should be product available. Okay, so that's an issue. So that's interesting. Yeah, so it's passing this. This is giving us a product available, right? So I'll tell you what we'll do, right? Tell you what we'll do is if we go into a FE controller, right? We'll take away some of the products that are initially given so that we can basically right, so we want bauxite, and we can remove this, and we can remove that. Iron sheet, copper ore. Right, I think we can remove this one. Right, and now we'll be able to see better if the steel is actually there. I think there's just something I've not set up here. Let me just check on these, right? So that's steel and steel. Items, that's steel, right? That's fine. So that's items. And recipes, we've got steel and steel. That's okay. And that's okay. Then restock values, we have steel and steel. So that's okay. Right, so that's a bit weird. So if we go back to trading main, okay, what we'll do is we'll break it here, okay, and we'll continue this, and this time we should see that there's not anywhere near as many things, which makes it easier for us to view it, of course. And now if we hit F5 and check this, we see that it's got steel, right? It's got steel quantity 2. Resume that, and that restock. Right, we can't really see everything there. We can resume that. Resume that. So whatever it is, this is never steel. Except, yeah, this one is never steel. So we have restock items, right? And this is coming from here. And it is steel. But it's never coming in. So if we click on buy, yeah, that's empty as well. So there's something somewhere that isn't getting filled in. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll go back to here, we'll go back to our main trading, right, and we shall do our print string, and we'll find out if we put 10 seconds there, and we'll put that there, and we'll see if this ever says steel. Okay, and that's going to be the thing that tells us so we know this is okay, right? so we can get this out of the way. We don't want to see that. What we do want to see is whether or not steel is in this list or if it's not. So we know that it's in here, right? It's in steel. And we know that it's in there. So if we resume, and this is the is trading allowed. So this is the part that is failing, okay? And it would appear it's not in here. Right? I know what the problem is. Damn it. Darn it. Right, the problem is that the ship is actually resetting that still doesn't make enough sense though. Actually it does. Right, let's go to the rocket and check out its thing. But it does bring up a couple of questions. I'll stop this for now. Right, so we don't do that. We begin play. And we get restock names. And the rocket sells to them. So in effect we need to add a breakpoint here. So when the rocket gets created, we need to find out what these values are. Well, that's rather interesting, isn't it? Because we're not even checking that. So that's bauxite. Right, so what we'll do is we'll stop that for now. We'll join that to there. We'll join that to there. And then on completion, we'll add a breakpoint there. Right, so it's coming along here, and that's the one for bauxite. No, that's the one for iron sheet. Right, and then refresh supplies is the thing that's screwing it all up, I think. Right, so if we go to here We're not going to see this. Here we are. So it's got iron sheet, copper sheet at least. And then into refresh supplies. Right. Let's see what it does. Right, if we hit 5, resume, 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 still not allowing steel. Okay, we're going to have to break this down. But first of all, I need to go for a comfort break. So, I shall be back in a moment or two. I'm going to have a quick cigarette and go to the toilet, and we'll be right back. Stay where you are, guys. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We're back, and thank you for the subscription, Jose. That's very kind of you. Now, while I was out having a cigarette, I actually had a very simple way of doing this. If I just go like that, straight to here, then it doesn't matter what the product is or its settings. We can basically just say whatever you are, any product, you can sell it. Okay, so let's try that and see if it comes up with the right answer. We can disable that, resume it. We can disable this breakpoint. This might still be an issue. Zoom it. And if we wait on this doing it, resume, we have steel. Okay, so that kind of proves to us that anything, it kind of proves to us that one of these things isn't true. Okay, one of these things is not true, and it's not this, right? Because what we could do is put it in here and then just drive that through there. Okay, and thank you very much, Ohas Sharma, for the subscription. Very kind of you to hit that button. So what we're going to do is we're going to test it, and if it comes through here, then basically the restock level and the current stock level aren't getting set properly, or it's not checking them. And I think that's to do with the refresh supplies, right? Because basically what I did was set them up manually so that it always basically does a certain thing. So from that, we can now hit the 5 button again, right? We can disable that, resume, and resume, and we get nothing, right? So that tells us one of two things. That tells us that this is never true. This thing here is never true. Okay? Which is bizarre, I have to say. Right? Now, what we do know is this actually might be being wiped, right? All of the time. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the event graph, right? And the part where it basically refreshes the supplies, I'm going to tell it not to do it. Okay? So we're not going to do that. Right, so that's completing trade stuff, right? So it's actually in here. We're going to go to refresh supplies and we're going to say don't do this. Okay. Then we're going to press play and we're going to try it again. And we may have gone right off on a tangent here. And maybe this ship, I know that the ship was in, you know, a work in progress, and the supplies were a work in progress, and I might have actually jumped the shark a bit on this one by trying to actually do this rather than basically starting from where I should start. But if we resume that, we have nothing. Right? But so the item coming in is the thing that is not so this is E item, right? And it has to be the same. Right, it's only showing us this one. So if this item is steel, and this item and this thing has steel in it, then it must be equal to it. Right, I'm not with this one at all. I'm disagreeing with my computer here on what it's seeing. Right, so we know that there is a value of steel getting passed in, right? Because here it's here, right? And if it's true, it'll go through. So we know there's a steel getting passed in. Now, in the ship inventory, we can't quite see it here. So we're going to have to print it. So we're going to have to go to here and then to here. Okay? And see if we have a steel, which of course we should do once the steel goes in here. Right, so it's going in here. And in fact, we don't have steel. let's make this some weird color, okay? At the moment, it's not in this. Right, so we'll make it purple. So this list, if it's not got steel in it, and this actually looks to me like it's getting this list from the wrong place, right? So we'll resume that, and you'll notice that we don't have steel here. Okay. So we need to find out where the temp ship inventory is getting set. Right, and there's three places it's getting set. Right, so it's getting set there. And it's getting set from this. Okay. And it's getting set here. And it's getting set here. Right, so this is in the rocket, right? Struct and this is just getting. So it's getting set, or it's getting loaded there. So the point is, we're never setting it, so we must be adding to it, right? So we're getting our data table rows, and is this going to the right place? There's our struct restock values, right? So add the breakpoint there, enable that breakpoint. Okay, press play, continue. So our out row here is bauxite. Resume. Then we have copper sheet. Resume. Then we have steel. Right, so it's definitely in this. Resume. Okay. So at this point, if we look at our rocket, it's definitely got that array set up, right? So that's bauxite, that's copper, that's iron sheet, and that's copper sheet. Hang on a goddamn minute. Bauxite, right, copper ore, iron ore, iron sheet, copper sheet. So when did this change is the question. So, right, let's stick with you. Okay. Now that's not getting done, so that's okay. So we can enable the breakpoint here. Okay, so if we press play, continue, we click here, we resume, zoom, resume. We have this. Okay. And the problem is here, it's refreshing the supplies, but is it? Well, no, because I've told it not to. So we resume that, Now we have our rocket, we have our 5 items, which none of them are steel, even though one of them should be. So this has got to be happening in hang on. No, that's okay. I was thinking there that it might be something to do with the save game, but that's not true. Right, so stop that, right? Now let's do this is fine. Right? So at this point, this is the first time in, right? This is the first time in. And we're doing a 4 next. Right? So all we need to do is print string and we'll make this 30 seconds and we'll make this green. Okay, and it's basically going to print out the item. So the first time this runs, we should see steel, right? First time we run this, we should see steel. and it's there. Okay. Steel, copper sheet, iron sheet. Right, now let's see if it does it again. We resume, and it's gone. It's gone. Right, so basically it's something in the launch that's resetting this. Okay. It's when it's getting called again. It's basically reverting back to what it was, kinda. Okay. So the only thing I can think of that's doing that is when it launches. Okay. Right, so there's nothing there. Is there anything here? Doesn't seem to be anything there. So we need to see when this is actually getting set. And it's basically only getting right. So where's that about? This is in a different place. This is on event begin play. That's okay. When we refresh supplies, are we doing this? I wonder. Okay, so we're kind of right. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Or in fact, let's look at this. Right, we're going to just reset all these to nothing, nothing. I'm going to set this up exactly the same as every other one, right? So that there's nothing interfering at all. Right, so this is going to be 500. Then we'll do 750. And then true. And then we'll say 50. Right, and we'll say it doesn't sell. Okay. So let's see if this makes any difference. And that is cancel. Resume. And we've still got nothing. And we're refreshing supplies. Resume. Resume. Now, I can only assume that our refresh supplies and it never does, right? It never removes anything from that. So is it getting set in here somewhere? There is. I'm going to have to set it to like a really weird number to check this, but this is really bizarre how this is going here. So we can set this to 499. We can set this to 733 and then to 52, right, just to give us a bit of a difference. Okay, then we can press play and resume, 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 and resume, finally resume. Ah. Right. Now our rocket should come back in a second. There we go. Right, so that's 300. So that's not the one we were looking for, right? Okay. So that's 200. Well, shiver me timbers. This is really bizarre. I'm going to stop that for now. We're going to go back to here. Right, and we're going to set this to true. Save that. Now, we do know at some point and that's the 3 items, right, that we can actually add. Rocket sells this commodity, right? So if we look at the restocks, we've got our 3 that just loaded up there, right? So that's fine. And when we look at this, there should be 3, okay? So we'll resume that, and resume that, and that, and that, and that. This should do that 3 times, which is right. Okay, now if we select the rocket, and we look at this, for some reason, this has suddenly went back right, okay. Refresh supplies is coming in here. And it's not doing what we think it's doing, to be honest. So we want to find the references here again, and I want to know where right, that's at the start, which is fine. That's breaking there, and it's already using that, so I am fine with that. Okay, and this final one is this one here. So basically I have to assume that this is getting set somewhere else. And it's in trading line and trading main, right? But we're not, even if we don't open that, it's getting set up again differently, right? Right, let's break this, right? We'll break this. Okay. Right, I know what it is. I know what it is. This struct restock values is getting saved, and we don't want that. Well, we kind of do want that, but only after a time. Right, I think this is actually working okay. The problem is that it was set up in the first instance, and now it's saving the wrong values. Right, give me a second, guys. I have to take a break for a second, and I should be back in a minute or two. I'm just grabbing a drink, so stick around. Okay, guys, we're back and ready to go. Now, it's becoming a bit obvious that the problem with this is that it was saved, right? So basically at the point where we saved it, and it's basically returning it back, okay? So I don't think there was actually anything wrong. So we're going to start a new game, and we're going to resume. Right, and if we check our rocket now, we have our three things: iron sheet, copper sheet, and steel. So in actual fact, I was right. Now the interesting thing here is obviously I don't have any steel at this point. Okay. I don't have any steel to sell, so it's not going to come up. And we basically snuffed it out to say that we were going to do anything but steel, right? So we have to go back in here, and anything, it's actually going to be in the trading main and trading line. Excuse me. Right? So again, what we need to do is go basically to here, and oh, wait a minute, we need to go and remove this. So we'll remove that, right? And we shall remove that, and that, and that, and that. We shall disable this breakpoint. And disable this breakpoint. Save that. And we shall check. Oh, this has got a breakpoint. Disable that. Will take us back to where we were in the first place, and hopefully that will sort us out. And this hasn't got any, and this hasn't got any stuff in it either. So if we continue now, we can resume, and resume. Okay. And now, if we look at our rocket, it's got our three elements. It's probably not going to resupply those. Now, we can't sell because we haven't got any. Okay? But we have our 68 there. Now, if we were to build some steel output, okay, so if we were to do that, then build. Damn it. We can't build anything. But hang on a second, guys. We can buy something. Right, F5. Why is that value not going over to there? Have I managed to break this as well? Oh, that's sell. So we want to buy. What's going on? Okay, there's something weird going on here. Oh. And that's doing nothing. Right. Well, this is a bit bizarre, isn't it, folks? We're going from one problem to another here. So, we're going to stop that for now. We'll finish off this, right? Because this is the first issue that we're dealing with. Now, the other issue, which has just arisen, which is the trading, I don't know, because that was all working. But again, it could be something to do with the saving. But I don't think so, because we started the new game. But we'll have to have a look at that anyway, right? So, let's have a look at this, shall we? Where were we? I've lost my train of thought. I have completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're going to do this, right? So we basically had to add iron sheet, iron ore, copper sheet, iron sheet. So we need bauxite, and we probably need copper ore, right? So we'll add 500 in there. So there's that. Okay. And that'll allow us to build our thing. Now, what we'll do in the meantime is we'll start a new game. We'll go test 2. And OK that. Right. And if we hit 5, our sell is correct, our buy is correct. Okay. So we shall cancel that. And we're going to send out a probe. Then we're going to do our building. And we'll build our smelter. we shall spin this around. Okay, and now that goes to there. Click on that. We'll make steel. We need another we need that to light up. But in the meantime, okay. And we shall take it from here. Now we should get some steel and we should be able to sell it. So at the moment we've got no steel, okay? So if we hit 5, then it doesn't appear in the cell, right? Because we don't have it, okay? But once we actually get one, it should appear in the cell. Okay, so let's check that out. So we've got one on the way. Okay. That light, the light must be in a weird place. Right, so we now have steel. Okay, so if we now hit 5, there we go, beautiful. Right. We've now got 3. So there we go, we can sell that. And the cost of trade 8. Trade it, there we go. There we go. So we can now basically, if we buy, there's nothing in there that we can buy that's of any good to us, right? Now that's on 3T5. Now, if we were to sell all of them, trade, buy, it's went up a bit, right? But that might be because of various things. Okay, but fundamentally, yeah, that starts at 129, doesn't it? 127 even. But you can see there that we can now actually trade with the ship and buy and sell, and steel is now basically part of the system. But the saved game there kind of screwed us up, so we need to work on the save game system and find out what exactly is causing the issue. It's obviously I think it would actually be okay. I think it was we were at an intermediate stage where we were setting things up and it hadn't quite caught up with setting it when we actually saved the game. So I'm kind of believing that we saved the game at a point where steel wasn't quite set up yet, and therefore it didn't actually get saved into the inventory struct for the ship, and therefore it kind of screwed it up. So I'm kind of at, well, saving the game isn't actually going to do anything at this point because I had set that back. So let's do a little test on that, right? So if we go back to our rocket and we go to that and we click the save again, right? Now we are saving the rocket, right? Because it's in here now. We save the rocket, okay? And its state. And now the thing we want to do is start a new game. We'll call it test 2. We shall OK that. Right. And the first thing we'll do is that. So you can see that steel is there, we can buy and sell it, right? We can cancel that. And we want to do our probes here. And then we can build our refiner here. And then we can build our smelter here. Then we can spin it around. And then we can spin that around and we can tell that to make steel. Okay. And then of course what we can do is we can build that and we can connect this and that kind of didn't work, which is kind of why we need the those things to light up on the warehouse so that it becomes obvious when we actually click on it, like that, right? And if we build here, and do that, and then we do our L by the way adds workers, so everything basically goes faster. Right, now the thing we want to do here is we want to save it. Then we want to let it run a second and then we can test it. Okay. So This will start running nicely, and we can carry on from here. So here comes our first steel. Right, so if we press 5, we have our steel. We can buy our steel, right? And if we press save, we can stop that and run it again, then continue. And it didn't save. Okay, so that would suggest that this failed. And that appears not to work. Not such a good day. For some reason didn't save. Did I hit the wrong button or something? Right. Let's try this again then. Right, so let's just do this a different way for a change, eh? Right, and we'll do that. Ah, damn it. Hey, passer. How you doing? Nice to see you back. Oh, right, there's something weird going on here. There's definitely something weird going on in all of this, which is really doing my nut in, to be honest. You see, that's just not building it. There's something up. There's something up with the warehouse. It's just not playing ball. And it's driving me up the wall, to be honest. Right. And with that, we're going to call our afternoon stream, bring it to an end. We've got a problem here. I'm going to have to check this warehouse thing. Might have to set up the highlights so that it actually works properly. And if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe button. Check out the description for Discord, Patreon, and my previous Steam game. And I shall see you all in 4 hours' time. Thanks again for watching, and bye.